Hey everyone, welcome to a new Dragon Ball What If story. This time we're covering a story based on Supersonic Warriors, one of my personal favorites from that game. So this is going to my collection of official quote-unquote what ifs. Krillin is one of my favorite characters and I always love making him stronger, so this was the perfect opportunity to do so. I really hope you enjoy, and let's try to get this video to 4,000 likes. So, let's begin. It has been 3 years since the mysterious future warrior arrived and warned Goku of his impending death. Together with Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo, Goku has continued to hone his Super Saiyan state, though Goku's focus is on advancing his and Gohan's power. Goku notices the impressive abilities Krillin has mustered up. He didn't get to watch him fight much on Namek after all, so this is all new for the turtle duo. It feels like old times. But no matter how much time passes, the two were still in perfect sync. Over time, it seemed like Goku was getting sloppier, tired. Gohan told Krillin that his dad was not getting much sleep. This was strange. Even as a kid, all Goku would do was eat, train, and sleep. Not always in that order, but a variation of it. Krillin was worried about his friend. However, time was not on their side. The day of the android's arrival came, as the heroes met up on that fateful island, ready to embark on their next adventure. Had their training been enough? Would they be able to defeat these androids and save the future? Krillin gulped. It wasn't long before Yamcha was found by those two terrifying androids, 19 and 20, nearly dying at their hands. The Z-Fighters knew they had to end things quickly, speeding away from the city and into an empty field, where Goku could go all out against the mime-like android. Krillin took care of Yamcha with the sensory, eager to watch the battle and make sure that Android 20 didn't try anything while Goku and 19 fought. The battle was intense, heart-pounding, but Goku was slowing down. Gohan could barely hold his breath as he watched his father be pummeled down to the ground. He would surely be killed if this continued. Gohan couldn't watch it anymore. Even if Krillin tried to stop him, Gohan kicked 19 into 20 as Krillin followed after him. Reminiscent of the battles on Namek, Gohan and Krillin stood side by side, racing their ki to the max, while Tien grabbed onto Goku and gave him a senzu bean, which Krillin threw at him. But nothing happened. Krillin and Gohan kept 19 at bay for just long enough when suddenly the newly awoken Super Saiyan Vegeta appeared. This gave the pair a breather. The heart virus was spreading a lot faster, which is why Vegeta didn't arrive in time just to save Goku. Vegeta yelled at Gohan and Krillin to back off and to take care of Kakarot as he battled 19. Gohan and Krillin kneeled by him. Goku was pale, his heart rate increasing, and his vision blurred. He looked at Gohan. This heart thing is no joke, Goku said.
No, Dad, you'll be okay, I promise. We'll take you home right now,
Gohan replied. No, I think this is it, Gohan.
You can't talk like that, Goku. We need you.
Gohan, please take care of your mom. You're stronger than you realize.
Dad.
Krillin, take care of everything else. Protect everyone's peace, please.
Goku, don't die!
But it was too late. The only punch Android 19 landed the whole fight against Vegeta was the second Goku passed. As Vegeta felt it and dropped his guard, he felt an intense heat from behind. Gohan. As Krillin held onto Goku's body, Gohan's rage exploded, finally awakening the power of the Super Saiyan form. But as impressive as it was, all Krillin could think about was Goku. Why had he entrusted him? He couldn't do anything now. Not with Super Saiyans around, he was useless. Gohan blasted at Jiro, smashing right through the left side of his body. That explosion of power and anger was so intense, it left Jiro paralyzed. But he had to move. Everyone was distraught by Goku's death, and he gave Jiro the chance to scurry away. But Gohan wasn't about to let that happen. He launched a barrage of ki blasts at Jiro. It seemed like with each step, Jiro took another part of his android body apart as it was destroyed, but he still managed to get away. Gohan snapped out of his anger for just a second and held his father tight. Everyone stood around him, their heads low. Even Vegeta couldn't believe it, but he cursed, saying that they didn't have time to just stand around. Piccolo agreed, bursting behind Jiro, while Yamcha was entrusted with taking care of Goku. Krillin wiped tears off of his eyes as he followed suit. With a heavy heart, the heroes have no option but to honor Goku's memory by going after the androids and saving the world. But first, only a small percentage of you who watch my videos are subscribed, so don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss the newest and best Dragon Ball stories. Now, our heroes make their way to Jiro's lab. Krillin arrived at the site of Jiro's lab, but it was already engulfed in flames. He asked Tien if they had defeated him, but Tien told Krillin to just look, as the flames were fanned out by the auras of Gohan, Trunks, and Vegeta's Super Saiyan form. As Trunks had just arrived, they revealed 3 new androids, 17, 18, and 16. Piccolo told everyone to not just stand there and fight, but what was Krillin supposed to do? Gohan and Trunks clashed against 17, Vegeta against 18. It only took a few minutes to realize that it was a losing battle. 17 looked more beat than his sister, but not by a lot, thanks to the team between Gohan and Trunks. Gohan's anger was incredible, but it could only take him so far. Trunks wondered if Goku dying the way he did was just a predetermined moment in the universe which he could not change. Gohan being a Super Saiyan here is a key difference. Not only that, he has a rage boost, which allows him to fight the androids for longer than the Z Fighters did in the original story. Krillin and the others are also fueled by rage, thanks to Goku's death, fighting the hardest battle of their lives. Even so, they don't stand a chance. They're all beaten, extremely hurt and defeated. Though, because they fought together, they weren't all knocked down immediately. The androids were simply letting them walk away. Android 17 commented that Krillin better give some senzu beans to them, otherwise they'll die. This surprised everyone. Not only did they know about the senzu beans, but they wanted them to live? Trunks was the one most shocked by this comment. Could this just be the androids playing games with them, much like they used to do with Gohan? No, this seemed different. 17, 18, and 16 began to walk away victorious. Perhaps they would be fun to play with later on, after they kill Goku. Krillin heard them say that.
Kill Goku? You bastards. He's already gone.
Son Goku is dead.
He trusted me. He trusted all of us to stop you.
Android 18 chuckled, whispering that he's cute and pecking his cheek with a kiss. It was a clear dismissal of his abilities, even if she was really cute. But Krillin couldn't just sit there and watch them destroy the world.
He told us to take care of everything. I'm not just gonna sit here and let you leave.
Krillin, what are you?
But before Krillin could act, a golden hue zoomed past him. It was Gohan, screaming out that his father's death would not be in vain. He threw a punch towards Android 17, who had his back turned, but the punch never hit, as Android 16 spun on his heel and caught the punch. Gohan couldn't believe it. His heart dropped as he watched the giant figure, but the combo did not continue. 16 wouldn't let him move. Piccolo pushed Krillin out of the way, using his stretchy limbs to pull Gohan back and away from 16. That's when the android finally spoke.
Enough. So, another bucket of bulls finally decided to act. With Goku no longer alive, we have no reason to battle.
You monster. You'll kill most of humanity.
That is not in our programming.
I've seen it. They'll kill us all.
They have not killed anyone yet. If you continue this battle, you will be forcing their hands.
Trunks stayed quiet, but Vegeta wasn't going to let them go. Krillin thought about it for a second. Trunks' future was in fact destroyed by the androids, but what if they could change? Even now, before Krillin acted, they were leaving Vegeta and the others alive. Was he thinking clearly, or was he that enchanted by Android 18? His suspicions were confirmed once Gohan spoke.
Trunks, trust me, I'm just as angry as you are. But he's right. They haven't done anything yet. It was Jiro that freed them. He was trying to control them and they defeated him. We were the ones that attacked them. What's different here from your future? Those 2 androids you fought, 19 and 20, they never showed up where I'm from. And this one, I've never seen him before. Has time travel changed the timeline so much that these androids are more docile?
I don't care. I'm killing that so.
Vegeta launched a ki ball at Android 18, but it never hit her. Instead, it was intercepted by a Kamehameha from Krillin, sending the ball far away into the atmosphere. Krillin panted. The battles had taken a lot out of him. 16, 17, and 18 took this chance to speed far away, with 18 glancing over at Krillin. Without Ki, there is no way they could be found now. Trunks dropped to the ground. Was that the right choice? Piccolo questioned it as well. Unlike the original story, where Piccolo flew away after getting called their friend, since Gohan is right then and there with them, and his power is incredible thanks to the Super Saiyan transformation, he's more willing to dismiss that comment, as right now, he needs to be with Gohan. Not only because of his father, but because perhaps he will be their best bet at defeating these androids. especially if it means he doesn't have to fuse with Kami after all. But even Piccolo himself, in the back of his mind, wondered if these androids were different on sight. Reverting back out of Super Saiyan, Vegeta appeared before Krillin and slammed him to the ground. How dare he interrupt his battle? Perhaps he should die now.
Father, wait!
Don't ever say that again. You are all imbeciles. So be it. Doom your own species. Next time I see these androids, they'll be nothing but scrap.
Vegeta burst his aura open and disappeared into the sky. The possible change of the androids here is too much for Trunks to handle. There's too many emotions swirling. Goku's death, Vegeta attacking relentlessly, and the appearance of all those other androids. But above all, the Z Fighters' willingness to let them go for now. Because of this, Trunks chooses to follow his father instead, afraid that letting them go could mean his future repeating itself. He apologized to Gohan and the others, rushing after Vegeta. Gohan, Tien, Piccolo, and Krillin retreated to Goku's home, where Chi-Chi wept for her husband. He had already been revived once before, and could not be revived again with Kami's Dragon Balls. At least for now, there was nothing they could do, especially since the Dragon Balls could not revive someone who died of natural causes. The Z Fighters gathered around, trying to think of a possible next move. With Goku gone, this seemed more and more like Trunks' future. At Goku's home, Gohan remained quiet. Piccolo sat quietly next to Gohan as well, not saying a word, but hoping that his company would at least help Gohan. Ten Shinhan stood by the door. Krillin clenched his fist so tight it hurt himself.
The androids haven't attacked yet. Perhaps we can hold back for now until they make a move. Train just in case and wait. We should look for Vegeta and Trunks.
Gohan stayed behind to be with his mother as Tien, Krillin, and Yamcha blasted off. Piccolo said that he'd stay behind and train Gohan until the rest found Vegeta and Trunks. Then they can figure out a plan. In the meantime, androids 17, 16, and 18 are less focused than in the original manga. Though they are together, they are distracted. 17 stole a car and drove it around, 18 robbed a fashion store, while 16 just sat in nature. 17 was unsure of what their next move could be. He just knew that he wanted to have fun. The androids took a completely different route than in the manga, as they were not looking for Goku. Instead, they are calming down after the battles. Even if Vegeta and Trunks were to show up, they didn't stand a chance. Regardless, the feeling that something was watching them didn't leave 17's mind. But surely it was just in his head. Perhaps he could rest. Soon enough, they would just leave Ginger Town.
Got you! Yeah!
Vegeta was flying alongside Trunks, telling him that he does not need his help. Trunks insisted that he doesn't care about fighting with Vegeta. All he cares about is defeating those androids once and for all.
Listen to me, father. I don't want the androids to get away either, but we can't defeat them as is. I'm sure there's something we can.
Quiet, boy. I don't care about your future, nor...
Vegeta was interrupted by something as he went pale. He could feel a surge in energy coming from nearby. Kakarot, Frieza, Piccolo? Who was this being? Who could hold this much power? Were they fighting the androids? Vegeta, without another word to Trunks, rushed out towards that power. He was caught up in the feelings of it. With Kakarot gone, he should be the strongest one alive, only for that title to be stripped away by a robot minutes after. But a sweat drop fell from Vegeta's forehead. As he zoomed in closer to the city, he saw smoke and fire. Was Kakarot alive after all? Was Piccolo there also? Maybe they were just fighting. At the same time, the Z Fighters were all searching for Vegeta, all noticed that same giant key spike. Even Gohan, all the way at his home, looked up at Piccolo, nodding at each other. They needed to regroup with everyone. Gohan apologized to Chi-Chi and left. Vegeta and Trunks landed. Seeing the large figure of Android 16, the Prince of the Saiyans cracked his knuckles and inched towards the android with a giant smirk. Where were his pals at? Did they get defeated already? But the Saiyan noticed something else. 16 was missing a large portion of his body. The Saiyan then looked up, sensing his own power charging up. A green monster with a tail and a stinger at the end of it had a large red keyball pointed directly at him, holding incredible power. 16 turned to reveal that he was holding the unconscious Android 18 as Trunks grabbed onto Vegeta and threw him to the side, narrowly avoiding the keyball. Vegeta couldn't comprehend such power existing. His vision was blurred. He needed to do something. Vegeta could barely see the green creature as he fired off a barrage of ki blast, creating a huge wall of smoke. Trunks stood by in horror. then joined in with the blasts. Surely that had done it, right? But from the smoke, the monster came rushing forward and slammed his fist into Vegeta's stomach, completely knocking the wind out of him. 16 fired a rocket punch to get Cell off of Vegeta. The Saiyan exclaimed that he didn't need 16's help.
He will kill you, as he did the rest of the city. I do not want any more senseless bloodshed. He's already absorbed to Android 17.
Vegeta looked at the monster as he got back up. He wiped some blood off his face and smirked, finally explaining,
And I will absorb Android 18 as well, to become the perfect android, the ultimate warrior, perfect Cell.
Vegeta couldn't believe what he heard. Is there anything he could do at a moment like this? Future Trunks cursed. There was something even worse than the androids? He'll have to take care of this in the future as well. But until then, Trunks blasted forward, unleashing a barrage of kicks and punches, which Semi-Perfect Cell avoided easily, punching Trunks in the stomach and throwing him to the side. Angered, Vegeta rushed forward, as 16 led down 18 and joined him. The prince hated having to fight alongside that piece of junk, but the fight was nonetheless useless. Vegeta was severely hurt, and 16 couldn't hold on for much longer. Cell got close to Android 18, ready to absorb her, but Vegeta landed a well-placed kick just in time.
How did you even let this happen? We were planning our next move when that monster snuck up on 17. We did not detect him in time to stop him.
Vegeta panted as he held his own arm. He didn't care what happened to Android 18, but she was his to kill, no one else's. What Vegeta didn't expect was for Cell to spin on his heel and fire a powerful blast so quickly that he couldn't avoid it. At the last second, Vegeta watched as Android 16 jumped in the way of both 18 and Vegeta. He hoped his body would be enough to protect them, but not only was 16 blown to pieces, the blast was such that Vegeta and 18 were flying into a different direction. All Trunks could do was hide behind a building and block the attack to the best of his ability. Trunks, though not knocked out, was left extremely hurt on the ground. His ki depleted. He made sure to hide it as he watched from the corner of his eye the smoke clear, and Cell stepping through the mist, walking through what little was left of the circuits of Android 16, stepping on them. Cell smirked as he looked down at the body of Android 18. She was his now. The bio-android absorbed Android 18, finally reaching his perfect form. There was no stopping his carnage now. This timeline be even worse than Trunks' own? Cell left. As soon as that power appeared, it disappeared. Krillin had been closest to the city and made his way towards that power. He flew around until finally recognizing that peculiar key, but there was more people with him. What was this presence he felt? Krillin burst towards it, yelling out Vegeta's name only to come to a screeching stop at what he saw. High above the clouds was a green being with wings, an incredible power, greater than anything Krillin had ever felt before. He was terrified.
What do we have here? Another one of Goku's friends. I could kill you right now, but you wouldn't be worth the trouble. It's a shame Goku has perished, but there is still a lot of fun to be had in this world. I've already killed Vegeta, so I guess... what's left? Piccolo, Gohan, maybe Tenshinhan? Delightful. Deliver this message for me, Pipsqueak. Those fighters who may want to stop me can prepare themselves, as in 10 days' time the Cell Games will begin. You may use them to train or say your last goodbyes to your loved ones. Till then, enjoy your last few days.
Cell blasted off, leaving Krillin both terrified and confused. But as he left, Krillin saw the trail of death and destruction behind him. Cities ravaged and destroyed, ultimately finding Trunks shaking his father's body and yelling at him to wake up. They needed to get him some help, fast. Although he wasn't a fan of Vegeta, Krillin still grabbed onto the Saiyan and quickly took off to Kami's lookout. Mr. Popo could try and heal him, and if there was any senzu beans left, they will help him recover. They found Piccolo and Gohan already there, with Tenshinhan and Yamcha arriving soon after. Everyone was in a cold sweat, as they all felt the second Cell absorbed both 18 and 17. Piccolo and Kami stared each other down. Would even their union be enough? Kami doubted it, but Gohan spoke up.
My father, he wouldn't give up yet. He would train. He would find a way to defeat that monster. We have to figure it out.
That's the spirit, Gohan.
Dad?
I'm talking to you through King Kai.
Wait, he can do that?
I have something to tell you that could help. Kami, when I was younger, you made me enter a special chamber.
Goku, are you sure? Even back then, you didn't even last a month.
Everyone here is much stronger than I was back then. I'm sure they're ready. Use it. Oh, and one more thing. I may come back for a day. I have an idea. I'll help you all train, but until then, train hard. I have a feeling you're all on the cusp of the next Saiyan evolution. Goku's voice disappeared, leaving the Z-Fighters dumbfounded, but with renewed determination. Popo was about to let Piccolo through the chamber when Kami stopped him, telling Piccolo that this will be useless unless he gets that power boost first. The Demon King reincarnated couldn't believe what he was hearing, but the others turned around as they watched Piccolo fuse with Kami, awakening a brand new power. Once again, they were the same being. Piccolo turned to smirk at Gohan, who nodded at him. Piccolo then looked at Trunks and smiled. Trunks was surprised to be included in this. Only 2 people could go inside the chamber, as Popo explained, right? Piccolo chuckled.
Yeah, because food is just enough for those 2. It's a good thing I don't need to eat, right? Come.
Krillin was just left there as they walked, asking what he was supposed to do in the meantime. Piccolo said that he didn't care. He should just take care of Vegeta and train amongst themselves. Piccolo, Trunks, and Gohan entered the chamber. Yamcha and Tenshinhan were training at the lookout together, when Bulma informed them that Cell had officially announced the Cell Games, which made them want to train even more. But Krillin was left lost. What was his role in all of this? He accompanied Bulma in investigating a Capsule Corp time machine that was found in the wilderness. From the looks of it, that was where Cell came from. Bulma appreciated the help, but once again, Krillin was left alone. The next morning came, with Krillin staring into the horizon in a jungle area, where Goku and himself trained as children. Krillin sighed as he grabbed a rock by his foot and looked at it, recalling back to when Goku and himself had to find a similar one with a Kame insignia on it. Krillin smiled at it and chucked it into the wilderness. He closed his eyes, waiting to hear the sound of it hitting a tree, the ground, or something else, but he never heard it. Instead, he heard a voice.
Ouch! What's the big idea? Goku?
The Saiyan smiled and waved at his friend, who quickly noticed the halo over his head. Krillin asked what he was doing there already, and Goku replied by saying that he did say he had a plan. Krillin couldn't help but tear up and hug his best friend. Goku hugged him back and told him that sadly there was no time to catch up. There's important things to do. Krillin tilted his head, but Goku had that signature smile that made everyone around him feel more secure. Whatever Goku had in mind, it could actually work. And so, a little bit of time passed by, and at Kami's lookout, Piccolo, Trunks, and Gohan finally stepped out of the time chamber, and Gohan's power was clearly different than before, even though they spent only a few hours in there, meaning a few months. Would this be enough to deal with the upcoming threat? They were still unsure. Their time in the chamber was difficult. Without being a Saiyan, it was hard for Piccolo to direct the half Saiyans in the right path. They were slowly figuring it out over time. Vegeta stepped before Trunks, having now recovered, and asking him to show him the progress he's made. Both Gohan and Trunks burst their auras open, bulking up. This was Super Saiyan Grade 3. Vegeta stood there, looking at the two of them up and down. This really was impressive. So, this must be the path he has to take, right? But as Vegeta thought this, a flash of yellow light landed behind him. Gohan's eyes widened as he instantly ran towards it, hugging his father tightly. Goku patted Gohan on the head. Goku explained that thanks to Uranai Baba, he was able to return for a single day. He had spent his first few hours with Krillin, but there was so much more work to do. That form Gohan and Trunks were on, it was awesome, but it wasn't what they should be aiming for. No one could believe what Goku was saying. This form took a few months to obtain. Goku does not have anything beyond his regular Super Saiyan. After all, he's only been dead for a day, but he has an idea of how to improve upon it. The remainder of the time on Earth would be spent training with the other Saiyans. He would try to get them to that level, even if he has only a few hours to do it with them. And so, the harsh training began. Grade 3 was slow and it consumed a lot of power. Goku was sure the Saiyans could perfect Super Saiyan instead. Vegeta entered the time chamber for a few hours in the meantime, catching up to Trunks and Gohan. They were on the verge of reaching Super Saiyan Grade 4 before Goku's time ran out. out, Goku did interrupt training once, when he commented on how if someone dies, they can just be revived. An awkward silence swept the field as Piccolo revealed there were no more Dragon Balls. Oh, no problem. One sec, Kami. Goku teleported away.
Did he just call me Kami?
Moments later, Goku appeared back again, Dende in hand. At least there would be a safety net. As Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo had a nice reunion with their Namekian friend, finally, it was time for Goku to leave. Leaving behind the Great Four Super Saiyans, Gohan, Vegeta, and Trunks. Goku entrusted Vegeta and Piccolo to continue the training. He hugged Gohan tightly, reminding him that he is stronger than he gives himself credit for. And Krillin, he shot him a thumbs up. Before leaving, he just teleported to his home along with Gohan. There, he embraced Chi-Chi one last time, telling her that he's sorry that it had to be this way, but he hoped to unite with her soon. He knew Gohan would always protect her, and with that, Goku returned to the other world. Chi-Chi cried as Gohan hugged his mother. With determination, Gohan promised her that it would be okay. He'd prove it so. The following 9 days came and went. Cell waited patiently at the center of the Cell Games. He hoped this would be the battle of a lifetime. For the first time in a few days, Cell opened his eyes when he felt the power of Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Piccolo, Krillin, Trunks, Vegeta, and Gohan arrive. Let the Cell Games begin. Without Goku around, Gohan and the others don't have any intention of sticking to the tournament format. Vegeta wanted to battle Cell alone, and the bio-android accepted the challenge until Mr. Satan showed up and declared himself the savior of the world. Gohan didn't like this. There was no time to joke around. Without another word, Gohan zoomed past Vegeta and Mr. Satan, slamming Cell into a mountain. Cell looked at Gohan a little perplexed. He didn't expect such power from the child, but it wouldn't be enough. He stood back up, only to see the 3 great Super Saiyans stood in front of him. Not only that, the small fries like Krillin and Piccolo were there too. They didn't want to play? Fine. Cell wagged his finger to mock them. The Z-Fighters rushed at Cell, getting him into combinations. Cell could keep up with them all, though the Saiyans proved to be trouble in a larger group. Cell fired a blast at Trunks, which he avoided and responded with a beam of his own. Cell opened his aura to stop it, but Gohan appeared above Cell to slam him down to the ground. Vegeta joined in, firing a volley of ki blasts as well. Cell tried to reflect as many as he could. The android laughed. This was really an exciting battle. As the volley died down, he saw from the corner of his eye Piccolo and Yamcha appear from both sides, a Kamehameha and a special beam cannon. Cell flew upwards to avoid the attack, but as he did, he watched Krillin rise up with him. Fist pull back. Did Krillin really think he could stand a chance? Cell threw a punch at the man. Cell was left in disbelief as he watched Krillin duck under his fist and come back up with a powerful punch to the face, finally sending him away. Cell wiped a little bit of blood off his lip. Those Saiyans were truly powerful. He would be in trouble if them and all the humans continued to gang up on them. But that Krillin guy, he was a lot stronger than he should be. He was different. Cell laughed. Fine. Two can play that game. The bio-android's wings swung open, and from its tail, a fleet of Cell Juniors were born. The Cell Juniors were proving to be formidable foes, overwhelming Tien and Yamcha with their sheer power and relentless attacks. Even Krillin was having trouble. Krillin was using every ounce of his skills and experience to dodge the Cell Juniors' energy blast and to land at counterattacks, but he couldn't keep up. As Krillin struggled to get back to his feet, he could feel the exhaustion taking its toll. His breathing was ragged, his muscles aching. The Cell Juniors closed in on him, their menacing grins widening as they sensed the victory within their grasps. Just as things looked dire for Krillin, he summoned all his remaining strength, cursing under his breath as he finally screamed out, "Kaioken times 20!" Cell Juniors were caught off guard as Krillin's power surged exponentially. The energy around him intensified to a blinding level. One of the Cell Juniors, who was about to deliver a final blow to Krillin, stopped in midair, surprised by Krillin's sudden burst of power. With widened eyes, the Cell Junior exclaimed,
Kaio, what?
With a burst of speed and power, Krillin launched himself at the Cell Junior, his movements almost too fast for them to track. He ducked and weaved, evading their attacks with precision, and relenting with a powerful kick to the stomach that was enough to knock down the Cell Junior. He continued the onslaught to the rest of them. The Kaioken times 20 had elevated Krillin's power and speed to an entirely new level, catching the Cell Juniors off guard. The Z-Fighters, who were struggling in their own battles, were amazed by Krillin's sudden surge of power. They could see the determination in Krillin's eyes as he fought back with renewed vigor, holding his own against the Cell Juniors. Gohan in particular was filled with pride and admiration for his friend's unwavering resolve. Cell smirked. That explained it. He now wore a more serious expression. He realized that Krillin was no longer the easy target he assumed he was. Krillin knew he had one last thing to do. With one powerful energy blast, Krillin shot it up to the sky by, the Cell Juniors cackling as if he'd missed. But sometimes the classics is all you need. The Ki Blast came raining back down in a shower of Ki bullets that pierced through several Cell Juniors, giving Piccolo, Yamcha, and Tien the chance they needed to not only get away, but defeat them alongside him.
Whoa, Krillin, that was incredible. How? Long story.
Krillin recalled back to the day Goku returned. He was all alone, lost, but Goku always knew how to cheer him up. There was something important he had to teach Krillin, the Genki Dama and the Kaioken.
The spirit bomb? But why me, Goku?
Isn't it obvious? You felt the power of it before. You know the responsibility of having that vital energy of so many people in the palm of your hand.
But wouldn't you want to get someone stronger? What about Gohan or Vegeta?
I've got something else for them in mind. But listen, Krillin, that's the beauty of these two techniques. They were developed by someone who couldn't even use them. The Genki Dama isn't about how strong you are by yourself. It's about how strong you are in a group. Sure, Gohan and Vegeta got you beat in power, but that isn't all that wins a battle. You're cunning, and the Kaioken, while dangerous, gives you the power boost you need to keep up when your back is against the wall. It's perfect for you, Krillin. Trust me, there's no better person to give this to. Krillin looked at the ground. Did Goku really believe in him that much? He was still unsure, but if Goku of all people believed in him, and he was ready to do what was necessary to save Earth, he nodded at his friend with a smile. Goku placed a hand on Krillin's bald head and teleported over to King Kai's planet. Thus, together with King Kai, they taught Krillin everything they could. It was tough. They only had a short amount of time to learn it. Thankfully, Krillin had seen both of them in action plenty of times, enough to get a sense of how they worked. It wasn't perfect, sure, but it was extremely useful, especially with the Saiyan helping Krillin out. He already felt stronger than ever before, and more determined. The Genki Dama was easier on Krillin than the Kaioken, which hurt him a lot. He'd have to work on that once Goku was gone. But in the meantime, Krillin slowly started to get it. He thanks Goku for his help, his clothes tethered and beat. Goku was proud of his best friend. Krillin now had a new mission, to go into the time chamber and continue perfecting these techniques. But back in the present, Krillin's mind raced as he watched the combined assault of the Z-Fighter. Cell pushed off the Saiyans for a split second. With a burst of incredible speed, Krillin dodged through Cell's energy attacks, closing in on the bio-android at blinding speed. He unleashed a barrage of punches and kicks, each strike fueled with the power of Kaioken. His Kaioken times 20 was the max he could go before his body began to break apart, similarly to how Kaioken times 2 was Goku's limit before his body started to fail him back in the Saiyan saga, as warned by King Kai. Krillin continued to battle Cell as the bio-android laughed at him. He wouldn't do this forever, finally slicing through the air a wave of scratches that brought Krillin to the ground. But Krillin was just a distraction, and Cell realized that when he heard him chuckle. Cell looked back up to see he was completely surrounded. Every fighter had their hands cupped and fired their signature moves. They poured their energy into their attacks, pushing Cell to the max, engulfing him in the maelstrom of energy. Finally, from below, Krillin fired one final blast at Cell. Surely, that would be the end. Cell's scream disappeared as the Z-Fighters lowered their attacks and descended back down to the ground. It seemed like it was over, Gohan panted, as Piccolo placed a hand on his shoulder and shot him a thumbs up. The Z-Fighters could finally take a second to rest. Krillin wondered if the androids could be then revived. They never got a fair shake at life, even after all they went through. Perhaps there was still a chance for them. Krillin smiled happily. But then, with a sudden burst of energy, Cell's body began to regenerate, his eyes blazing with renewed fury. He blindly shot a death beam out. It was going to hit Trunks, but thanks to his mastery of Super Saiyan in this timeline, he's actually able to see it coming. Though it's extremely difficult for him, he manages to take a step, so only his arm gets damaged. Cell smirked. Maybe he hadn't killed them, but his confidence was restored.
Impressive, but not enough to defeat me. You may have delayed the inevitable, but you can't stop perfection.
Their battle reignited with even more intensity. The battlefield became a frenzy of energy blasts, punches, and explosions. Their ki was draining, their bodies were battered and bruised. Even the Saiyans in their master form were now feeling the pressure of it. Cell fired a massive energy blast that caught them off guard, overwhelming their defenses. It hit them head on and sent them crashing to the ground in a heap of smoke and debris. As smoke cleared,
I told you, I am perfect.
Cell taunted, his voice filled with arrogance.
You cannot defeat me.
They needed a new plan, and fast. But Gohan heard Krillin's voice calling his name. Even though Gohan was losing hope, he saw the determination in Krillin's eyes. He had something up his sleeve. Gohan then felt it. The warmth of the world swirling around them and up to Krillin. Gohan smiled. He knew what he had to do now. The battlefield crackled with electricity as Gohan, Trunks, Vegeta, Piccolo, Tien, and Yamcha engaged in the furious battle once
once more. The Super Saiyan's power blazed, illuminating the sky with dazzling bursts. Gohan once again charged at Cell with a ferocity he had never felt before. Trunks followed close behind, displaying the sync he had with his future master. Vegeta, always hungry for a challenge, faced off against Cell as well, with unyielding tenacity, forcing Cell to defend himself from energy blasts. While he was being comboed, Cell could still keep up. He had calculated precision, dodging, deflecting, and finally opening his android barrier to get them all away. He was getting tired of this. It was fun at first, but this was getting ridiculous. The battle was a symphony of martial arts prowess, as the Z-Fighters seamlessly weaved in and out, using everything they had to keep Cell off balance. But despite their best efforts, Cell always got back up. Cell finally realized the fact that Krillin was not fighting, turning his head to see the giant energy ball collecting Genki from every single human, plant, and animal. Cell was going to make Krillin pay, firing a piercing ki blast at him. In a heart-stopping moment, Trunks, the selfless warrior, jumped in the way, taking the brunt of the energy blast to protect Krillin. He was knocked to the ground, his body smoking from the impact, but he managed to give Krillin the precious time he needed to regain focus, with Vegeta roaring and forcing Cell away from Krillin. But Cell wasn't going to allow this to happen for long. Grabbing Vegeta by the back of the head and kneeing his face in, Gohan watched this in horror. He needed to do something. His father believed in him. His father believed in Krillin. He needed to make sure this plan worked. He tried to focus, breathing in, focusing all of his energy. He remembered his father's words of wisdom, that he was stronger than he thought he was. And even though Yamcha, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Tien tried their best to keep Cell away from Krillin, there was nothing to stop him now. He was rushing in. There was nothing he could do. Krillin and Gohan's hearts pounding fast. Just as Cell was about to land that last devastating blow on Krillin, Human heard Goku's voice from another world, urging him to take action. Goku's words filled Krillin with determination. As he gritted his teeth, pushed himself to the limit. Even if this killed him, he had to do it. He roared fiercely as he pulled his arms back and back down to Cell, his body enveloping in a blazing aura. With all his might, Krillin pushed the Genki Dama against Cell, but Cell was going to get away. From down below, as Gohan laid on the ground, defeated and tired, the only thing Gohan could think about is that this could be the last image he sees before his death. But just like Krillin, he heard his father's voice. Gohan, get back up. Don't let Cell escape. You're our only hope. Slowly cupped his hands up. He took a deep breath, and with the last of his energy, he screamed out a Kamehameha, the force being so that it created a crater around him as the blast hit Cell in the back. Electricity started to form around Gohan. His hair started to spike up even further. Everyone watched in shock. It was only for a blink, for a split second, but that was all that was needed. As Cell was pushed into the spirit bomb, and Gohan fell back down to the ground, completely drained. You can do it, Krillin. Remember, everyone is counting on you. You hold the fate of the world. You are our hero. As Krillin, remembering Goku's words, screamed out, Kaioken times 30! Feeling his body screaming in protest and his bones threatening to shatter, but he refused to give up. The spirit bomb grew in size and power, surging towards Cell with an unstoppable force. Cell's resistance faltered. His body began to crackle with energy, his monstrous form fading away in agony, vanishing in a cloud of smoke. The battlefield fell silent. The air thick with tension and anticipation. Krillin, battered and broken, collapsed to the ground, his energy spent. He looked around, his heart in his throat, waiting for any sign of Cell's return, but there was none. Cell was defeated. A wave of relief washed over Krillin, followed with a deep sense of satisfaction. Krillin was the unlikely hero who had risen to the action, displaying courage only humans could show. Selflessness in the face of insurmountable odds. Being there with his friends, Krillin felt a profound sense of accomplishment and pride, as did Gohan, whom Goku congratulated alongside his best friend. Krillin closed his eyes, with him, Trunks, and Gohan being carried to the lookout. Krillin slowly opened his eyes, feeling groggy as he found himself laying on a comfortable bed at the lookout. He moved his head around, seeing his friends gathered around him, a relieved expression on their faces. Goku, however, was absent. Gohan explains that the Dragon Balls had been used to revive those who were killed by Cell, but Goku couldn't be brought back because he died of natural causes. The last 2 wishes were used to repair the world from the destruction caused by Cell's rampage and to heal Krillin's broken body, as it was too damaged to be healed by just Dende or Sensobi. Krillin nodded, taking in the information. He was relieved that it was finally over, grateful to be alive, but he couldn't feel but sense emptiness without Goku. Gohan then asked Krillin if he was going to come over to celebrate their victory, but Krillin shook his head, explaining that he had something to do first. Thus, Krillin made his way to the site of Cell's defeat, where androids 17 and 18 had just been revived. They were on guard, ready to fight, but Krillin approached them with a determined yet gentle expression. He explained to them what happened. He said that he no longer saw them as enemies, but as individuals who deserved a second chance. Krillin's words touched Android 18 as she blushed slightly and glanced at her brother. Krillin took a deep breath, and at first he whispered something. 18 asked what he said, and Krillin yelled out, "Do you want to go out with me? On a date, I mean." 18 hesitated, with 17 holding in the laughter. She blushed and looked away for a second. It seemed like she was just going to walk past Krillin, but she leaned down and whispered yes to him, flying off. With a triumphant grin, Krillin bid farewell to the androids as they flew off, leaving him feeling elated. He was about to follow them, but the celebration was short-lived. Gohan arrived and informed him that Bulma had just revealed a distressing piece of news. It was likely that another Cell could exist in their timeline, and they needed to find him and destroy him before he could grow into a threat. Krillin's determination resurfaced, and he nodded sullenly, knowing that their battle was not yet over. He promised Gohan to go with him, but that first, he had a date to tend to. Gohan looked at Krillin confused, but without saying anything else, Krillin waved at Gohan, jumped up to the sky, and yelled out, "Kaioken times 20! Red aura bursting with energy as he followed Android 18. Gohan smiled at Krillin as Earth had finally come to peace.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this new story. This is the most recent story I've made based on Supersonic Warriors. It ended up being a lot harder to write than some others, but super fun to script and edit. The Supersonic Warriors story continues on to the Buu saga, though I don't think that part of the story is as compelling. This one stands on its own, but if there's enough demand of it, I'll make a second part. I am also thinking of making a compilation of official what ifs I've made, so you guys can marathon the Supersonic Warrior stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps the channel grow a lot. Finally, a thank you to the patrons of the channel: Daddy, Cyber Samurai, Kaden, Huey, Beastieman 420, Faisal Alshref, Akko, Grim Shadow 227, Giovanni Jimenez, Zanos, D-Man for Life, KV, Hurt Fanfiction, Blaze 9526, Craze PlayStation CK, Free Flow Highway, Jackie Effing Chan, Shane K, Angel MR, True Lightning Striker, Ghost 1571, Lee Urquidez, Kaiser Jirachi, Jonas Paulus, Trench Rules, D-Man Plays 22, Jim G, Always Zero, Jerome Foster, Salil Paranjape, Keith Grimes, Christian Hellman, Lewis Perkins, Nuka Draco, Hannah Rowan, Midnight Combatant, and Mystic Angel, and Samuel Randall. I always appreciate you guys' support, as it all goes directly into funding editing and artwork for the videos. Anyways guys, I'm SmugStick, and until we meet again, see ya!